Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be working on a pretty fun math problem. It's a mathematical trick or mathematical magic trick. I like to squish those words together. And the introduction says, have you ever seen a magician perform a seemingly impossible feat and wondered how the trick works? Well, we're going to follow the steps below to participate in a math magic trick. And I'm going to do an example for you. I'm going to pick the number 6, and I'm going to write it down here. And then it says add 5, so 6 plus 5 equals 11. Then it says to double the result, so I'm going to take 11 times 2 and get 22. Then I'm going to do 22 subtract 4, and that brings me back down to 18. The next part is take 18 and divide it by 2. That gives me 9. And if I subtract my original number, 9 minus 6, wow, I get 3. So what did I get? 3. Now, we're going to see if this trick works no matter what number we pick. I'm going to pick a different number. I'm going to pick something that's not too big, not too small. Let's try the number 10. The next thing it says to do is add 5. So I'm going to write down 10 plus 5 equals 15. If I double 15, that means I multiply it times 2, and I get 30. For those of you that have a calculator handy or your multiplication table from lesson 124, you certainly should be willing and able to use those tools to make it easier for you to be more precise and accurate. The next step is subtract 4. So I'm going to write down 30, subtract 4. And if I count backwards, I know that that's 26. Next step says 26 divided by 2, and that gives me 13. And if I subtract the original number, 13, my original number is 10, I end up with 3 again. Now, if I am going too quickly, please feel free to pause the video at any time. And I would recommend that you pause the video right now and try to do this magic trick on your own with a number that you choose. All right, well, I'm hoping that you did what I asked you to do and pause the video. Let's take a look and see what happens with a second trial. I'm going to go with a number that's smaller than 10 because I don't want to go too big and have some numbers that are kind of unmanageable. So I'm going to try the number 3 because I have not tried an odd number yet. So I'm going to start with the number 3. If I add 5, that would be 3 plus 5 equals 8. Double it, that means 8 times 2 equals 16. Subtract 4. 16 subtract 4, and I get 12. Divide by 2. 12 divide by 2, I get 6. And if I subtract the original number, 6 subtract 3 gives me 3. All right, so up above, my answer was 3. In my first trial, my answer was 3. And in my second trial, my answer was 3. That's pretty magical. Which steps made the number that I chose increase? Well, let's take a look here. And when I'm looking at the steps, when I look at trial 1, this number to this number, when I'm comparing them, adding 5 made it bigger, so that would be step number 2. When I'm looking at this box, this cell, and I go to the next row, I end up having a bigger number. So the next thing that made it bigger was step 3. And then when I'm comparing these two, I don't go bigger. From here to here, it does not get bigger, and from here to here, it does not get bigger. So these are the only ones that made it increase. When did the number decrease? So when we're looking at increase and decrease, decrease is the opposite. So I'm looking at where my numbers started getting smaller, and that would be from step 3 to step 4. So then I write down number 26, step 4, and then from this number to this number, so divide by 2, step 5 made it get smaller, and step 6 made it get smaller. What connections do I see between the steps in which the number increased and the steps in which the number decreased? Well, if I'm taking a look here, I double it in number 3 and I divide by number 5, divide by 2. So I can say that steps 3 and 5 are opposite operations. And we can also call them, and I'm going to put this in parentheses, inverse. All right? Now let's move on to the next problem, which is 782. I'm going to go back to this for just a moment. This is 7-81. And since we went back up here, do we think this trick is going to work no matter what number we pick? Well, I picked number 6 here, a bigger number than 6 there, and an odd number there. So I'm going to write the word yes, because with the trials that I did, it all seems to give me the answer of 3. All right, moving on to the next problem. This one, we're going to pick a number. And when we're looking at this problem, picking a number, and I know that we worked with the variable x. So when I pick a number, this is always going to be where we start. Okay, we're always going to start with x. And for this one, I'm going to use the number 7 just for fun because I haven't used that one yet. And I'm going to look over here, and if I'm replacing x with 7, I'm going to write that underneath the x tile. And I'm going to count how many unit tiles I have, and it looks like there's 4. And I'm not taking away, I put them into this. So when I put them in, I'm going to add 4. So what I'm writing in my trial 1 box here is 7 plus 4 equals 11. Now when I'm taking a look, I'm comparing this picture with the picture below it. And I see that now there's 2 of them. So I have multiply by 2 because I'm increasing that by 2. There's 2 different sets of that. And I'm going to write over here 11 times 2 so I can keep track of what number I'm on. And now I have a 22. And from the very, very beginning, when you were starting to learn math a long time ago in kindergarten or pre-K, a lot of times when we subtract, we cross things off. So this one here, we are going to subtract 2. So I'm going to bring my answer from above down, 22, subtract 2, and I get, that's right, 20. And now the key word here is divide. So instead of having 2 groups up here, I only have 1. And if I'm thinking about that, 2 groups down to 1 using division, that's going to tell me that I'm dividing by 2, because 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. And I write that here as 20 divide by 2. Okay, let's look at that one more time. There's 2 groups down to 1, 20 divided by 2, and that gives me 10. And if I go back up here to reference what I was doing up above in step 2, x was 7, and now I only have 3 here. So this picture and this number go together. And now when I'm taking a look, it says subtract something, and it looks like I am missing these 3 unit cubes, or these 3 unit tiles. So I'm going to subtract 3, and I do 10, subtract 3, and I get 7, which is my original number. It would be awesome if you would, on your own paper, do letter A here, use your own number. You could think of using a fraction, a decimal, or 0. And I'd like you to figure out what you notice about the result if you try it on your own. And then after you do that one, we would like you to finish problems 86 and 87. Okay? And I will see you back here next time with a review of how you did.